with this fund is to support non-for-profit civil society organisations that work with communities who've been really heavily affected by COVID, to do some innovation to help you do the great work you're doing. And at the moment, you've got funding for a 10-week sprint to develop a solution to that specific challenge that you have told us about. And as Julie and Chris were saying earlier as well, we want to try and, although you are looking to build solutions for specific challenges you have, your challenges are shared by others, even if you're not quite aware. We know from all the organisations we're working with in this fund and other funds this year that a lot of challenges are shared, and we want to make sure that what we develop new, that can help other organisations. That's a bit of a challenge for us as well, as we shared. So as we go, we'll be looking at how we do that best. Thank you. What is a cohort? So we see you guys as a cohort, as a community. Yes, you're doing your own projects, but you're also all benefiting from the fund, benefiting from working with a charity, hopefully benefiting from our support. And you're all organisations who are trying to make this world a better place for the people that are part of our communities. So we want to make sure that we create opportunities to learn, to share together, to give to have some teamwork across, because it's really valuable that, you know, we all have our own work, our own remit, but we are trying all to make the world better and a bit fairer and a more supportive place. So we're hoping to achieve that through the cohorts. If we say cohort, that's what we mean, and we have some activities planned to get you together to kind of just do that, and not just have you working in teams, but also, you know, share some of that and give support to each other during these 10 weeks. So we've all have got 2 connectors, one leader, one supporting connector to kind of help you through this journey. I don't know about all of you, but in the stinky fish exercise, there was quite a few mentioned in my group about how we need to balance time and fund and resources and the scope of the project, and that is the current that's always the friction that you will have. We are here to support you, so, you know, come to us if there's anything. We're here to make life easier. If there's any challenges, we'll try to resolve them, and any feedback that you have on the program, always welcome, because, you know, this is the first time we are doing this, so we're learning a lot and we're really keen to hear from you. But we're trying to give you that additional support, that additional person who can help out, overcome barriers and help things go as smoothly as possible. And yeah, we're organising the start and the end, and a bit in the middle, just to get people together and build that community. Getting started. So today we have kick-off day all together, but from next week you'll be starting with your digital agencies. They might have already reached out, you might have had conversations, you might have not. I know some agents were really busy last week, so they'll be in touch this week kind of to get things going with you. So get to know each other, spend some time talking together, agree ways of working, agree your roles, responsibilities, continue the open conversations that we started this morning. I think it's really important to do that. Set some key dates so you know the expectations of each other. I think that's really important, and we're all busy, so you have to decide as a team how you approach this. But people tend to say the further ahead we know when we need to have time together, the better. So lock those days in your diary. So have those conversations with your partners to get those set in, or at least penciled in, so you know roughly what you're doing and when. And do get stuck in, but don't be afraid to change direction. I'll come to that a bit more in the next slide.
I was just going to add to the end of that, Debbie. I think the key point here is, like, this is working for you and for digital partners, your project, your partnership. We're really interested to learn from you and see how this works as well. So don't be afraid to like make decisions that work best for you, and just keep us in the loop. There you go.
Absolutely. Yeah. So a bit about your responsibilities as a team, so not just you as a charity, as a digital team, is that delivering the work that we're funding to the best of your ability and within the terms of agreement. When I say don't be afraid to change, means, you know, the focus is likely to evolve, and but through your research, by testing, you might, this is all the agile way of working, it might change along the way, and that's fine. Actually, we would really want that. If the research and the testing are showing that you're not quite on the right track, don't continue. And I know your agencies will just want either, but yeah, we're really encouraging a questioning, challenging mindset, and to make sure that what you design is really fit for purpose. And I think this was some stinky fish for people, making sure that the solution is meaningful for your organization. And we really want to ensure that's what you'll have at the end of 10 weeks. So if that means at some point changing drastically or not so drastically, that is all fine. As Molly said, you need to make decisions that are right for your project together. And just let us know. We're really intrigued to see your journey and how that evolves and grows over time. Oh, sorry, can we go back? Providing us with information which is clear and accurate and submit it on time. We'll check in with you, we'll check in with the digital partners, and in the meantime, just contact us as connectors with anything that you feel we need to be aware of. Yeah, keep us informed, and yeah, keep an honest and open dialogue with us, and we will do the same with you. Molly, thank you. Reporting. This is great. Somebody updated this, I think. This is not what I put in this morning. See, this is how agile we are.
Sorry, Debbie, have I thrown you?
Yeah, but it's all good. Work out loud. What do you mean with that then?
So this is, in terms of how we're working, we want to encourage you to work out loud. So that's what Debbie was just saying about talking to us, talking to your digital partner about how things are going, being honest. Week notes. So at the end of this presentation, I'll share this presentation link with everyone, and there will be some resources, and one of those is about how to keep week notes. So week notes are like where week by week you can reflect on what you've achieved, what you've done, how things have gone, what's been good, what's been bad. And it's one of those things where it doesn't necessarily seem useful at the time, but then 10 weeks goes very quickly, and you might find yourself in a position 2 or 3 weeks down the line where it's really helpful to look back and think, why did we make that decision at that point? So I think that's just a really good practice to have, and it might be really helpful, especially as this is such an intensive project. And in terms of the reporting to us, I think Debbie, you can probably add a bit more here, but I think what we're looking for in the reporting is both like kind of qualitative as well as quantitative information around like how things are going and why decisions were made. So both those practices, working out loud and keeping week notes, will help you to almost do your reporting and project monitoring as we go along, and really avoid the fish that Gilly mentioned earlier, which is we don't want to have you having to make huge chunks of time at the end of this project to then go back and do reporting and monitoring. That would just be, it's going to be a waste of your time and resources and energy. So if you can do it little and often as you go along, and then that will make everyone's lives easier, is the plan. If you have a genius way to do this that we don't know of, then also please do share that. And obviously don't be afraid to ask for support, and there are no silly questions. Debbie?
Yeah, that's great. And so the week notes is not something you need to share with us, but for those of you who are very comfortable and familiar with digital innovation, data innovation, it's a rapid pace. So sometimes remembering what you did a week ago seems like a year ago. So keeping some kind of way for you to kind of keep track of what progress you make, what decisions you made, is really helpful. Yes, I'm not quite sure now what to anticipate on the next slide. Before we go and open the floor to questions and get to the chat, so for you, the reporting will be evidence of spend, which Jackie, I believe, has already emailed you a form about. And there will be some other reporting that we will ask from you and the digital team that you'll do together, or as a digital agency that you'll do together. But we are making some changes to what we've done previously with our discovery group. So we didn't want to overshare now because we're kind of finalizing that this week. So we'll send you an email later this week with more reporting, but we're trying to keep it as a minimum because it's just an added headache often. And we know, as Gilly also flagged this morning, you know, it is an necessary thing that we need to do, but we're trying to make it as easy for you as possible. So hence we're taking a bit more time to figure that out, how to do that, and learn from the last round as well. So we'll share that a bit more later this week. Sorry, we can't tell you more about it.
I think
sorry, Molly.
I think just the evidence of spend, keeping detailed records of how you're spending money throughout the program. I think that's going to be the top tip from us in terms of your reporting, because we know from the previous round of grants that have just gone that they're being asked by the funding actually comes through the National Lottery Community Foundation, and then is administrated by CAST on behalf of the Catalyst Network, and we know that they're asking for clarification around some of the spend from that previous round. So it's very likely that you will be asked to show, you know, who worked on the project, which days, and what their, you know, how that links to their salary or any expenditure. It's likely that you'll need some more evidence. And if you've got any questions around that, then please do talk to us. As Debbie said, we're still waiting for some of those details ourselves. So, but we're hope to get more information to you as soon as possible. And Debbie, if you want to move on to questions, there was one in the chat from Mark, which I'm happy to respond to if you're happy to move on to that. Great. Okay. So Mark, the very unsatisfactory answer is that you've jumped ahead to this afternoon's session. So the dates for the check-ins as a cohort, there's one that you should already have in your, if not in your diary, then in an email somewhere that I will send a diary invite to, which is for the wrap-up event. And that is a celebratory event at the end. It will be a bit like this session, but with more sharing and fun things and less reporting information. And that is like the only one that's set in stone, and the other check-in points we can work with you and we'll find times that work for everyone across the cohort. So it will be a sort of majority vote type scenario, but we're moving on to that after lunch. And Debbie, there's some questions in the chat. I don't know if you want to take the one from Nabila.
Yeah, I can take the one from Nabila. Really good question. I think that should be like, there's two sides of this. One, I think that's part of your conversation with the digital agency when you're developing, you know, making sure that what you're building can be sustained and maintained at a minimum. And then you might already go into conversations about your next step. What do you need next? What would be your next development goal? What might that cost? Because the agency that you're working with will have a better understanding about that. We are also talking to our funders about, you know, what can we do in 2021 to continue this amazing work. And yeah, once we've got some more information on that, we'll share that with you. But that's a conversation we're having at the moment for next year, and we're hoping we can support some further development. But so I think that's the two sides. Nabila, does that answer your question? I'm not hearing from you, so I'm going with it. That is
sorry,
good.
yeah. Sorry, I did put my thumb up here because I didn't want to interrupt you. I've got my camera off because I keep losing internet. So I'm trying to keep my camera off for those purposes. But yeah, I didn't put my thumb up, thanks.
Sorry, I couldn't see you. I'm working from one screen.
That's all right.
But thanks for joining us. What if we had add more people to our team that we originally planned? There's also a question from Unabila. That's fine. If you can rejig within the grant that we're providing, then yeah, that's absolutely fine for you to rejig that. yeah, everybody, we're getting that question quite a few other teams that had to adjust because people that they thought could be involved could not. So yeah, absolutely fine as long as you can keep it within that grant. So no issues there. Dates for reporting, deadlines. We'll include that in the email later this week, but I would assume that it would be a couple of weeks after finalising your work with the digital agency. So we'll give you some time after that. What date and times is the final celebration? Good to get it ring fenced. Molly, it's on the later slide.
Yeah, I've just put it in the chat. So it's a Thursday, the 4th of February for the wrap-up event celebration, and I will send a diary invite either later today or Thursday. In terms of the timings, I'll try and keep it similar to today. So it will be like 2 chunks with a big lunch. I'm still mourning slightly the fact that it seems extremely unlikely that we're going to be able to bring you all together and feed you. It's like normally my favorite bit of these celebration wrap-up events is seeing people in person, but we'll try and recreate that party atmosphere as much as possible. Graham had a really good question. I don't know, Debbie, if you wanted to go to that one.
Yeah, so Graham's question is about a recipient's role to organise the project meetings with digital partner, or is that the role of the connectors? And are connectors present at every meeting? Graham, this is us kind of like passing on, getting us started, but I think it's really for the teams now to kind of organise. So we expect the digital agencies to kind of take the lead in getting the next meeting together and, leading on those conversations about roles, ways of working, key dates. So for you as a team to decide that for yourselves. We coordinators, we do have a bit of a mixed approach. We will be involved and be at some meetings, but not at every one. We would love to. We'd absolutely love to, but we wouldn't have the capacity to do it. While we're still delivering on the other parts of the program and making sure that's all working as well as possible. So yeah, very happy for you and the digital agencies to kind of get things going now and arrange your times and set those up for yourself.
I would just add to that as well. So some of you will have, and some of you will be awaiting, had invitations to like half-hour or 45-minute long check-ins with your connector. They're normally on Thursdays, unless you've told us that you don't work Thursdays, in which case they're not on Thursdays. They're usually on Thursdays throughout. So there's 4 of them, check-in points with your connectors throughout the grant program. And those are really for you to use those times as you like. So if you want to have a one-to-one with us and just get things off your chest and be really honest and feel like you can talk openly without the digital partner being in the room, then use that time like that. If you think it would be more constructive to invite the digital partner to join and to have a kind of group session, that would be brilliant. Use that time as you wish, and curate it as you wish, and we're here to support you. But we recognize that that's going to be different for different people and different projects depending on where you're at, and we don't have to decide that now. It will be, oh, Amelia, you should have had the connections, but if not, then don't worry, we'll get them out to you this week, don't worry. But the timing as well, it will also be like a doodle poll type thing, so we can make the time work around your time commitments as well, as much as possible. I know that Reem and I are both part-time, so so I can't do anything on a Monday or Wednesday, and Reem is not around on, I think it's Fridays and Wednesdays and Mondays.
Monday.
Cool.
Yeah, and Amelia, yes, I have my apologies, and I know David's apologies as well. We haven't been as organised and haven't sent those invites, but I will do that this week. David will do next week, and then I know any of the other connectors will get things rolling, but it will be flexible. You picking the time that suits you, us just letting you know when we're available. Ellie's comment in the chat is very good. If there's anything else you want us, if there's any meetings that you want us to be involved in, then we do like to help get your project going and moving along any barriers or provide further input when that's helpful. And let me see, just checking. Good, then we've got updated some records. Sorry, just joking. I don't think there's any. Are there any? Sorry.
No, that's all right. I was just going to say here, Amelia, that point's a really good point. We're aware that there are some people who are not the same people who were writing the application, so there's changing. We need to update the database. So I know that Ellie, you're now on the database. Ellie has now added Amelia to the database, so we now have up-to-date contacts for the Proud Trust. But for other people here, there might be other members of staff you want to bring into this, or you might have freelancers who are working with you. At any point that things change or there's someone else, if you just let us know. Our email address is always like our first name at wearecast.org.uk. There's also a support email address that comes through to all of us. So you can always contact us and we will update that. And then future invitations and emails will go hopefully to the right people. But yeah, we're aware that lots of your organizations are changing.
Molly, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
So we've got like quite a lot of different staff working on different parts of it. So it's really quite a lot, like probably 10 different people working on it. So I really don't want to waste any time. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but I would really like from the connectors, if they need to have things on an agenda, to just be really, really tight on that, because any hour that we're spending with you instead of on the project, and I know that sounds harsh, but it is not working on the project, and we want to work as much time on the project as possible. So I hope that, I mean that in an absolute kindness, but I'd rather not be spending time keeping a funder happy. I'd rather keep you happy at the end by actually having a brilliant project. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, and I think that's definitely something. I'm really glad you raised that, because I think that probably goes for a lot of people here as well. So that's really why, like, this is kind of compulsory, and that we want to check in and just make sure you're aware of how things are going to run and have the chance to ask questions and meet everyone. Other sessions apart from this and the wrap-up event are very much optional and can be used however you want them to be used. So if that is you just saying to your connector, we're having this meeting here to demo this new approach, or we're having this meeting to get an update from a digital partner, do you want to join that meeting? Then we're really happy to do that instead of having another meeting on top of things. And I think it's probably easier if there's lots of people. Amelia, if you're leading from the Proud Trust, if we send things to you and they go to, and you're then able to manage those people working on the project, does that work best? Or yeah, cool. Just to check in. But Ellie?
Yeah, I'd add to that it's probably worth saying, if any of the other people working on the project would value a check-in, obviously those weekly not weekly, but regular check-ins with the connectors are open to whoever is working on the project. So it's just a space to share or sort of be a sounding board as much as anything. We've found it's been quite useful on other programs we've run, just to kind of be a bit of a time away from the kind of full-on frontline up against it work that you'll be doing. So I think actually having some headspace has been useful for some people, but completely appreciate that you want to spend as much time on the doing as you possibly can as well. We want you to too. So yeah, just play it by ear, however you feel.
That's a really nice point, Ellie. I think for everyone to think about, if there's someone in their team who might get more value out of this than potentially the project lead or project manager. So maybe there's someone who this is their first digital project or their first grant funded project, and they want to just reflect on how it is for them. We'd love to meet anyone in your teams. We're so excited to be working with all of these organizations. So that would be great. Did anyone else? I'm just checking I haven't missed anything from the chat. Debbie?
This would be the last question from, I'm saying last because we're going for lunch, breaking for lunch soon, but there's a question from Nabila about expectations to present to work at the celebration event. I am not 100% sure about that answer, so I'm looking at my teammates.
Yeah, so I think the expectation will be during the application process and sort of throughout, we've asked about how you're going to share the learning from this with your network. And this wrap-up event will effectively be part of that puzzle, if that makes sense. So it's an opportunity to just reflect back, share back, we can support with that. So we can help you to provide deck formats. You can do in any format that you want. I think if you wanted to do a quick video, that would be fine. If you wanted to do a presentation, that'd be fine. If you just wanted to sort of stand up on the metaphorical stage and talk to an audience, that would also be fine. But yeah, it's just a chance for us to hear from you how it's gone, what your successes are, and I guess answer some of those questions like, what is your headline now, and what happened to your fish? Did you manage to put them out with the bins? Like, so it is very much expected to present your work, but how you do that, I think we're going to try as much as possible to leave up to you, so it wraps up with the other work you're doing.
Yeah, I think unless there's any burning questions, then I think it's time for a lunch break and some time away from the screen. If you can get it, or I hope you're not all catching up on emails, which I know some of us will be doing.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. I have deliberately allowed a 2-hour lunch break, so hopefully, or not quite